2025. But I want to believe that the year 2026 is going to be a more promising year for every one of us. All right, sometime in the year 2024, the Supreme Court, the Apex Court in Nigeria, delivered a landmark judgment emphatically affirming the autonomy of local government in Nigeria. But then implementation has been frustrating. Compliance is yet to be seen. Well, I'm being joined by just one person on the show this evening. As always, the only learned person in the facility, Mr. Felix Alonge. Together we'll do it. We're going to expand the conversation. Why governments, federal and state, have yet to implement the judgment of the Supreme Court. Mr. Alonge, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Okay, thank you for having me, and say welcome to New Year, right? Good people of Ondo State, and I hope all of us believe that this year is going to be prosperous in Ondo State.
Absolutely. The year started with a rain. I'm sure you experienced the rain.
Exactly. It is a divine intervention that this year the hand of God has shown that this nation will move forward.
Absolutely.
And Ondo State is going to record monumental achievements.
In the affirmative, I'm sure.
Because today there was the first working day prayer in the governor's office, and the prayers of Ondo State have been heard. And Mr. Governor, Honorable Loki, that has actually promised to the of Ondo State that Ondo State will become an industrial hub, moving Ondo State from the civil service state to industrial hub, in which there will be a lot of employment opportunities for our youth, so and the economy will be prepared in various sectors of the economy.
Good.
And the Ondo State workers have actually pledged their support, as they normally do in the past, that this time around they are going to work harder, so that the mandate given to our amiable governor will be translated into practical dividends for the good people of Ondo State. And we wish him well, and also for him to come to be a good and sound mind.
Absolutely. Yes. But I'm sure people will be happy to hear that
exactly.
From the governor.
And even today, even the Muslim cleric said, oh, history is being made today in Nigeria, that this is the first time the Muslim cleric is being invited to participate in the first working day prayer.
But that should be in the south, because in the north we have a predominantly.
Nigeria is a secular state, and yes. It's also a secular something.
Yes.
And,
but it's a mix, more or less a close mix.
But you have a religious tolerance as far as Ondo State is concerned. And this governor has actually taken into consideration open up for the two major faiths. The members of two faiths have been appointed to critical position in government. And you know, religion is very, very critical. You cannot wish away the role of religion.
Honestly, if we flash back, I recall there was a time in this country when we had a military governor and a civilian deputy. Now, in a case where you had a governor there who was a Christian, then automatically your deputy had to be Muslim, vice versa.
But you know,
that's religious tolerance.
It's balancing. That is, even these things actually stems of the immediate past government that demands that having mosque in government house and the same time church very close to each other. And since you have got into these religious centers, there has never been any acrimony.
But this is not part of our discussion. Why is it that in Nigeria, the president is a Muslim, his vice is a Muslim?
And you know, let me tell you, Nigerians try to look at the capacity this time around and the ability to deliver, and at the same time, based on experience, their pedigree, so that the religion is no longer being seen as, we are no longer being religious bigotry. We are no longer trying to involve religious bigotry, And since Senator Bola Tinubu, the president of this country, you know the way he has been administering the affairs of Nigeria. There's no religious coloration.
Not at all.
And that has actually given him a soft landing towards 2027, so that the phobia of we Christians that, oh, the government is going to be dominated, and the fact that, oh, this man may also maybe try to support the northern part of this country towards Islamicization of Nigeria. But it's not like that. Even from the home front, it's a family setup. The wife is a pastor. And most of his immediate staff are also Christians. And a lot of people around him are also Christians. And he allowed the two to go together in an atmosphere of cordiality and for the peace of that home and the nation at large. And we are happy. And that's why today, Yaya Korede was extremely happy that today history has been made in Ondo State. That since 19 years ago, we have been hearing about the issue of having prayer meeting the first day of the working day. That is the first time the Muslims were invited and also took part in the prayer session and other activities that took place in government house today.
I think that is good. Now, to the crux of the matter,
yeah.
I think July 2024, to be precise,
Yes.
there was a ruling of Supreme Court
Yes.
granting local government autonomy financially, politically, give them some roles to play. I mean, give them independence, so to say. But then compliance has remained elusive. State government, federal government, both of them are more or less frustrated the implementation of the ruling of the Supreme Court. So where do we go from here?
You know, Nigeria, we are always so romantic in policy formulation. We are always very theoretical, very robust policy trust. But when it comes to the issue of implementation, personal sentiment, self-interest, how to satisfy the power that be, always negate the vision and objective of those policies and programs of government. And I think what is the major problem concerning the issue of local government in Nigeria is the misconception of the principle of federalism as enunciated by Professor Weyes, that in a federal state we have two levels of government. The federal, which is the national, and the coordinate units, which is the state government or the regional government. And those who are actually relying on those, the principle initiated by Professor Weyes up to today, they don't know the historical perspective in which we came about that theory. That theory is no longer relevant. What is the prevailing circumstances as of today? Every nation has its own variables, culturally, socially, economically, that may not allow for what work in A will work in B. And insofar the 1999 Constitution as amended recognizes three tiers of government: the federal, the state, and local government. That one is already settled, and that was the trust upon which the Supreme Court based its ruling. But because self-interest and executive despotism on the part of some elected leaders, and our leaders, they need to focus on national interest, the interest of the people, because none of them is going to stay there for eternity. They will come back and join the people they are fighting against. I think that is the problem. Oh, Nigeria is a federal state. It has only allowed for the federal and the state, and therefore the local government to be an appendage. And what is even more very ridiculous, maybe it could be another issue for discussion. At the national level, do you have the Minister of State? Why do we have the Minister of Local Government at the state level? Are you getting it?
Yes.
At the level, we should not have Minister of Local Government. If the Constitution recognizes the local government as the third tier, and as long as we don't have the Minister of State, we don't have a minister that will be controlling the state governments. I think you are getting the perspective now.
Yes.
I think that has been the area in which further constitutional amendments have to be made. But because what some of the state executives are not saying that, oh, it was a political autonomy, not financial autonomy. And in the spirit of the Constitution,
so it should be all encompassing.
it should be encompassing. But you know, in the rules of interpretation in law, we have three rules of interpretation. We have lateral rule, we have body rule, and mischief rule. And whichever one you follow concerning a particular issue of the pronouncement of the court, the moment you are able to canvass your position, you're on the right track. And most people, in most cases, what is the rule that people normally adopt for their own self-interest is the mischief rule of interpretation. It's either here, not there, and you are still comfortable.
Vague.
It's vague. It's vague. So that you can move to the left and the right.
Manipulate your way.
But thank God, the overall principle.
But before you go further, now you said something now. Is in Nigeria, I've noticed something.
Yes.
The Supreme Court, which is the apex court,
Yes.
rules, delivers judgment on a particular issue. Now, is it not proper for that same court to give a time lag, like a time frame that the Supreme Court can say forthwith? In other words, that compliance must not remain elusive. It has to be momentarily, immediately. Can't it be done that way?
Even as when the judgment was given at the Federal Executive Council, there was a time frame, I think about 6 months, given by
This court.
By government, within which every state must comply. But at the end of the day, lots of states that comply, but not its entirety. Are you getting now? Because if there's a compliance, if there's real compliance, the Commissioner for Local Government has something to do with the resources of the local government. So,
in other words, what you are saying is that it is wrong for a state like Ondo State to have a commissioner for local government
across the whole country.
Since the Supreme Court has ruled.
And even if they want to even do that, it may just be a department
in the Ministry of Chieftaincy.
At least the governor that will also be maybe having a political appointee to coordinate all activities.
But the president has executive power. Why has the president not even?
Let me tell you, it is not easy. We are not a constitutional government. It is government based on rule of law, and you have constitutional provision. You cannot just bring your own exuberance. Oh, because you know, this is what is right. What is right to you may not be provided for in the constitution, and that is why about a week ago, when there was a meeting in which all the state governors were there with other leaders of the APC, and they told them that, oh, this time around, you brought in the chairman of the local government with all the councillors. Go and implement the Supreme Court has given judgment. If you don't do it before fact, I have the yam and I have the knife. That was Mr.
And everything is all about finances.
So that before you know what is happening, when you go to fact, you just discover that I've used my knife to cut the yam, and I've just give them their money. Give them their money directly. And even as a matter of fact, it is to the advantage of the government, the state, the subnational. If the local governments have reasonable level of autonomy. The constitution is also saying that they have to operate total independence. No, the governors have to have some level of controls. Supervisory, like what Mr. President is also giving some checks and balances, and how there have to be some rules, guidelines for at least in which the Mr. Governor or the state executive can actually still manage their affairs, because every resident, every citizen in a particular state is still under the authority and protection of Mr. Governor, and he must be interested in their welfare. He must be interested in their welfare. That does not give the chairman of the local government, the councillor, the liberty to do whatever he likes. To do whatever he likes. No. There will be rules, there will be guidelines in which, maybe on monthly basis, maybe a committee in which, on monthly basis, that will submit that report to Mr. Governor.
So, ordinarily, what are the functions of the local government?
You know, the function of the local government is more or less to take care of local peculiarities, depending, because our local government may not have the same issues with the federal local government, but fundamentally they are to take care of residual issues
like
chieftaincy matters, taking care of maternity issue, taking care of primary school education, health centers.
What about projects?
The project is for them to consult rural roads and culverts within their financial limitation. You know, under the 1976 local government reforms, the chairmen of local government were extremely powerful, and we had a lot of development in local government, and you could see how people in those local governments were killed in the various local government secretariat. The local government secretariat were extremely lively, and before the chairman got into the various homes, you see people also there lining up, so that as at that particular time, people have little or nothing to do with state government coming to Akure. Their work,
so it lessens the burden.
It lessens the burden,
yes.
And it gives the state executive, the chief executive of the state, to concentrate on
state matters,
because all those local things that it will take the time and a lot of, the nature of when people hear lies upon lies, this is what this person, and in the process of that, it diverted the attention of the state executive from concentrating on things that can project the development across the state, because every part of the state, that is not the local governments, they are all responsible to Mr. Governor, because he presides over.
Now let's from your own perspective,
yes,
which organ should actually be in charge of the election of local government chairman, their deputy, and councillors? Is it the state or federal government?
So from as a political scientist, I'm not going to speak as a politician, and I'm not going to speak as if I'm a member of any political party. I'm a member of APC. But what is right is right. And what I'm going to say is based on the experience we are passing through in Nigeria. For me, to have a fairly democratic and competitive election in Nigeria, we should allow INEC to conduct all elections. There is no way other parties can win an election in a stable control by another party. Would the governor allow somebody to the backyard to come into the door at the backyard to come and take the key of the main door? What I'm saying is that no government will allow an opposition party to have way in the local government election. It's not easy.
No, are you trying to say that the governor will try to interfere with this?
It's not government interfere. You know the nature of human beings generally. Are you getting it? Because here people don't want, they don't want somebody to see me as anti this, anti that. I get it. You want to belong. I get it. And at the same time, you also know the nature in which, from what has actually happened throughout your country now. When I say, the president is not doing this, not doing that. But all of us are praising all the governors that they are doing well. If all the governors are doing well, it means Mr. President is also doing well. Is doing well. How would it be possible for an opposition party or candidate to win a local government election in which he is presiding in that particular local government? And then what is the most important is that the party that is ruling a particular state must present credible candidates. But it will be better based on the experience you are passing through in Nigeria as of today, is that the constitution should be amended and allow the INEC to conduct all elections down to the local government, as long as the local government has been recognized as the third tier of government. And based on the experience of what has actually happened across the 36 states and the FCT, there is no way you can have free and fair election concerning the local government election, no matter what this person there. You know the period that putting of the National Assembly that the INEC chairman should no longer be an appointee of Mr. President. Whoever pays the paper, you say the truth.
Yes.
That is African politics, but it's not like the Western democracy.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back in a jiffy. Stay with us on Field Points. Well, it seems welcome back to Viewpoints, coming to you from Osrc television. Let's change gear now. Now, a few months back, the president brokered peace between the warring factions in Rivers State. To be precise, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and the incumbent governor Siminaye Fubara. But somehow in the last few days, or let me say in a week or two, seeing somebody has breached the peace which was brokered by the president, because both Wike and Fubara, both of them have been exchanging banters. Wike said it, Fubara replied, Fubara will say his own, Wike will now respond. So what's the bone of contention between you? So can't we have lasting peace in Rivers State?
As far as the issue of Rivers State is concerned, is power play.
Sure.
This power play for self-interest. I don't think both of them are defending the interest of Rivers State. But each of them is trying to see what share will I have from the cake.
The detriment of their constituents?
As the detriment of the people of Rivers State. Wike is actually doing his best for Rivers, and the same way Fubara is also doing his best.
So how is Wike doing his best?
At least he has been able to, when he was governor, there were a lot of developmental projects.
He did his best then.
And now it's in FCT. Also make sure that Rivers State has its own fair share of federal government projects.
But to be frank, Rivers State is not an extension of the Federal Capital Territory. It's just a minister in the Federal Capital Territory.
We know the nature of at least he's accountable to the federal government. He's accountable to Mr. President. He's a responsible to Mr. President. But at the same time, his people, our son, God have you brought to us? Since
more or less because he's a member of the National Executive Council.
he's not a member of the National Executive Council. I'm not talking about whether he's a member of APC or not APC. But the bone of contention is the issue of 2027. Who is going to be the next governor? That is the issue. And the so-called agreement. They're thinking all about the agreement of an agreement.
Have you seen the agreement?
No.
Have you seen it on paper?
No, whether
Wike has been saying that he has breached.
Yes.
An agreement, I mean, which was tabled before the president. The president assented to Fubara has breached. So where is the agreement that is seen on paper?
So that it is always very difficult for a third party to come between Fubara and Wike. You know what
and the INEC chairman came out to say when Wike said Fubara is not the leader of APC in Rivers State. The INEC chairman. APC chairman, that way came out to say that the leader of APC in Rivers State remains the governor, and that is similarly Fubara. So that is all person whether we like it or not.
That is the unwritten constitution of APC, which is APC.
But Wike does not agree to that.
It's Wike a member of APC.
You have asked me a very serious question. So that means Wike should not even meddle into the affair of APC.
And because
he has no business.
Both of them, they are working for the common principle.
Which is still
that is Atunubu. Are you getting now? If you listen to the utterances, the pronouncement and action of Fubara,
it's only about
100% plus 1
is the president.
For the president. The same thing, Wike is 100% plus 2 for Tinubu. Both of them are working so hard. But you know that the local politics of Rivers should be left to the good people of Rivers. Let's see how the scenario will play out. You know, the greatest suicidal for a city governor is not to have his own person to succeed him. It's because of the nature of African politics.
What happens if it doesn't happen?
But he's going to pay. He's going to pay the price. It's not easy. It's not easy. Mimiko knew what happened to him. What is the level of his song? It's not easy. But the nature of African person, we are not like the Western world that everything is for the people. You see a former prime minister in UK riding bicycle. Yes. The former American president Obama, when he finished his 2 terms, he went to 3-bedroom. He hired truck on his own.
And he went back to his law firm.
They started packing all those things. Yes. Can such a thing happen? But you see, one political appointee is fortunate to be able to get a good slice of the cake. Now, overreaching his own limits. After 2 or 3 years of his exit from that particular position, he come back to be a pauper.
So what's the solution to this problem between?
For me, the solution is that the so-called agreement is to go back to the source. Mr. President has a lot to. I mean, we should need to settle them. This so far, the two parties, the two sides are working towards the same, because, like what Wike said, PDPO in Rivers, APCO in Rivers, they are for the president. And the bone of contention, which is the agreement, which is opaque and unknown to the outsiders, and those even within find it difficult to come out openly. And it was only one person yesterday, one of the sitting senator, who said that Fubara agreed for 1 term. But we cannot believe in what you have said. Are you getting it? But at the same time, Fubara has the constitutional right as a member of APC, as a member of any political party, to contest for the election.
Yes.
At the primaries of the party of the APC, and Wike has the authority, has no constitutional legitimacy to bar Fubara from being one of the aspirants for the governorship of APC at the primaries.
Because
it's not the number of...
It's more complex than that, because Fubara at a point in time, approved 100,000 naira for members of the workforce, each being worker in the state. And the House of Assembly came out to say that there was practically nothing like that, that the House did not assent to that. You know, when you read meaning to that, you don't discover that that was coming from another person.
That is why, so that there's a net that says, oh, went to elephant fights. That is the aftermath, the negative multiplier effect of lack of concurrence of mind. And the way Fubara came into the leadership, being the governor of River State, we need to appreciate Wike, because there are some things behind the scene that those who don't have eyes that we don't see. We have the natural eyes, but we don't see the real issue behind the scene. And for you to betray your political godfather, it's not easy. It's not. As far as you are concerned, in African context, it's not the best. The two of them are so deep in their relationship. You know, after the expiration of a state of emergency, Wike and they had each other's hand.
Yes.
Rejoicing, all those people, and the supporters of Fubara during the problem at that particular time, they felt disappointed, they felt disgraced and ashamed.
But it was short-lived anyway.
It was short-lived, but that short-lived was not short-lived. It's the sense of the people who still fueling the crisis now.
Okay, now that takes us to what is happening in South and North America, because Venezuela is in South America, the US is in North America.
Yeah.
Now, President Trump, that's the president of the United States, had been having issue with the leadership of Venezuela, that is Nicolas Maduro.
Yes.
Now, a few days ago, United States forces went to Caracas, that's the state house in Caracas, and seized the president of a sovereign nation, which took him to the United States. As we speak now, he's going to face charges of drug dealing in a court in New York. The question is, how proper is it proper for a president to be treated that way? Does a country which is outside the jurisdiction of another country, does that country has moral right to bundle the president of that country? In other words, what Donald Trump did, is it right in the eye of the law?
It's more than what we are saying. It's more than that. This so-called the theory of territorial sovereignty. Oh, that will interference in the internal affairs of another country. But when people in that particular country, the citizens of that particular country, by their actions are not cracked.
What actions?
And their leaders say, oh, you know, under Maduro, there have been a lot of economic hardship.
Now, can we count the number of countries undergoing such? Does that mean that because the citizens are crying, we don't like our president, our leader, we are suffering, does that mean that another country should come and bundle the president?
Most of the leaders in Venezuela, they have been calling on Trump to intervene, and Trump has tried as much as possible to persuade Maduro to step down for the legitimate winner of the general election of 2024. All persuasion failed. We want to continue threatening.
So in other words,
and a lot of citizens of Venezuela, they are fleeing the country. And the major opposition leader, who also won Nobel Peace Prize, also encouraged, persuaded and to actually allow the legitimate person to win, to be sworn in.
But Trump has not said that. Trump is now hinging everything on drug possession.
And because he thinks that is the only way he can have legal escape.
And justifies the means.
Yes. Drug smuggling, drug trafficking, all those things. Because
so you want to kill a dog, or when you call a dog a bandit just because you want to kill a dog.
and but the very thing is that this is a signal why should even the city president of a particular country, rightly or wrongly, to be accused of engaging in drug trafficking. What does he want? And at the same time, he has not done well in Venezuela. There is economic hardship, cost of living extremely high.
Venezuela is not the only country suffering.
We know
other nations suffering, and it's so easy. Okay, what let me give you an example.
What Trump is not saying that, oh, just much agreement, let's follow it. There was an agreement to step down for the person that won, but one day refused. So that and a lot of the major stakeholders in Venezuela supported use any means to make sure that this man is removed from office. And the thank God is vice president, who has been the vice president since 2018. Another woman, Rigo Guez, is now the interim president,
okay,
for the purpose of another transition, to make sure that legitimacy is brought back to Venezuela.
And Donald Trump has been talking about the oil of
Venezuela. That is behind the same interest of America. It's just the same issue of defending the human rights in Venezuela, all those things. You know, like what I said, if you want to have a dog, you know how to do it. It's just trying to use diplomacy, use tricks to make sure that to justify these actions. But it's a warning to African leaders. Any African leader, sitting president, Donald Trump, the fear of Donald Trump is the beginning of the wisdom that they can come and just pick any of you at any point in time.
Mr. Felix, thank you so much for joining me on the show. We've had an eventful time as far as today's show is concerned, and we hope that Mr. Okewo will join us next week. Well, thank you so much for being there. As always, if you have enjoyed this edition, make sure you join us same time for a fresh time on the show next week. On behalf of everyone here, my name is Akintunde Kishimola. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.